Well, hello Internet, and welcome to my Git video tutorial. This is going to be a big tutorial because I'm going to show you how to install Git on Windows and Mac and Linux pretty much. And I'm also going to show you all of the common commands you will need to use Git. I'm going to do my best to cover everything. Part of it's going to be presentation, and part of it's going to be in a terminal, and I'm going to go as fast as possible. So, let's get into it. So you may be asking yourself, probably not though, what is Git? Well, Git is a version control tool that saves changes to groups of files so you can revert back if needed. And no, this whole entire presentation isn't going to be in this format. Most of it's going to be in the terminal, but I just wanted to start off this way. Now, there are different types of version control tools. There's local version control, which saves files to a database on one computer. There's centralized version control, which saves changes to a shared server. And then there's distributed version control, which allows for easier sharing of files than you're going to find with local version control because you're going to be able to share them. And also it eliminates problems that could occur if access to the server is lost under a centralized version control system. Now, DVC clients that are using Git are going to have complete backups of all the files on their personal computer. So if the server is lost, the client just waits to regain contact and then uploads changes whenever it's available. What this means is when you commit changes to files, Git basically stores a reference of what the files look like at that moment. And if a file isn't changed, it isn't stored again. And like I said before, each client is going to have a complete history of all changes stored locally. And the client also is going to be able to access all changes made to those files historically with just a couple simple commands. Another benefit is those files cannot be changed without Git knowing, and changes are very difficult to lose. Now, basically in Git, files transition between three different states. They're going to either be modified files, which are files that have been recently changed, staged files, which have been marked to be saved, and committed files, which are those that have been saved. Okay, so it's modified, staged, committed. Git saves all these file changes to a directory as a compressed database, and then you're going to be able to modify those files in what is called a working directory. You then can notify that you want saved changes in the staging area, and then of course after you commit the file changes, they are saved to the Git directory. Now, if you want to install Git, here you go. I'm going to show it to you step by step, but basically these are going to be the addresses you're going to have to go to. And of course, I provide a link underneath the video. And of course, in Linux, you can just type in a couple simple commands. Either one of these should work for you depending upon what type of Linux you are using. So enough of that presentation format. Let's install Git on Windows. Okay, so basically inside of Windows, we're going to go to this address, and this is going to be the website that you're going to see. Of course, hit download, and then you're going to see Git show up down here. You're going to have the security warning pop up. Of course, hit run. Another security pop-up comes up. Of course, hit yes. And then you're going to be able to set up Git. Of course, come down here and hit next. You're going to get to see the license. Again, hit next. Then you need to define exactly where you want to save everything. I'd just hit next. And then here, I check that I want both the Git bash, this guy right here, as well as the Git GUI. And then, of course, hit next. Then this pops up, hit next again. I prefer to select the first option right here because I'm just going to use git bash because I will like to use the commands that are provided there. Again, I leave the first option checked again and hit next. And then everything's going to install for you. And then the wizard pops up and everything's installed, and I check on that I don't care about the release notes and hit finish. Now to open up Git, you're going to click on your start button and then look for a folder named Git and specifically click on Git bash. And here you can see an example of what I have set. The very first thing you're going to want to type in is git config -- global username and then put your name inside of here. And that's going to allow you to track who has changed files inside of your database. You're also going to want to come in here and define a user email. As you can see, there's mine. So just type that in and of course hit enter again. And then the final thing that I wanted to bring up, because I'm going to do all this stuff live in front of you, but I'm going to do it over on the Mac. All the commands are exactly the same. The only thing that I wanted to point out here is if you want to change your directory, this is something that comes up all the time, and there is a space in the directory name, just surround them with quotes. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to install Git on a OS X or Mac computer. Okay, so we're going to go to sourceforge.net projects, blah, blah, blah. Again, this link's going to be in the description. Then you're just going to want to come down here and click on download. Then you're going to want to open up the file that was downloaded and double click on this box right here. Then your installer is going to open up. Of course, click on continue. Again, click on install, and the installation was successful. And now, of course, just like you did inside of Windows, you're going to want to come in here and type git config -- global username and then your name inside of quotes. And then also I came in here and also defined the email address. Again, git config -- global user email and then whatever your email address is. Now, one thing that you might want to do is to edit what are called commit messages, which is basically just a message about why you changed the file or how you changed it or whatever. Well, one of the things that a lot of people on Macs like to do, even though I never do it, is to use a chosen text editor. In this situation, I'm using Text Wrangler because I use it. And if you want to use Text Wrangler instead of using the inline editing tools that are common or default inside of Git, what you're going to need to do in Text Wrangler is click on Text Wrangler and then click on Install Command Line Tools. And whenever you do, this little pop-up's going to pop up on your screen. Click on OK. And then to use Text Wrangler in this situation, all you're going to need to do is type in git config -- Of course, this is inside of the terminal on your Macintosh or OS X machine. You're going to type in git config -- global core.editor and then inside of quotes edit space -w. And of course, I have a link also to the entire transcription of this video underneath the video. Okay, so enough of the presentation format. Let's jump in and start using Git. Okay, so here I am inside of the terminal, and like I said before, all the commands you see here are exactly the same on every operating system. I'm just using this mainly because I'm recording everything here and it's easier on my computer. Now, I just showed you how to change over to use Text Wrangler for your chosen editor, and you're going to see in a second what I mean by editor. And here we're going to come in and I'm going to change it over to Vim, which is very commonly used. So I'm going to go global core.editor. And then I'm going to type in Vim instead. And whenever I do, nothing's really going to happen. It's just going to use that editor from now on. Now, if you want to show your settings, because we just changed a whole bunch of settings here, all you need to do is go git config and then -- and list. And there you can see all the information that I changed inside of here. If you ever need to get help, just type in git help. Pretty easy. And of course, you're going to see all the different things you can get help on. And then let's say, for example, you want to specifically get help on add. All you would do then, I'm going to clear the scroll back, is just go git help add. And it's going to show you all that information, and you can read through it all that you would like. And you just type quit or Q to get out of that. And if you're on a Windows computer and you want to clear the scroll back, just type in clear and hit enter. That works as well. Now, if you want to start tracking a directory, what that basically means is you want to start saving certain files inside of a folder or a directory on your computer. The very first thing you're going to want to do is actually go to that directory. Okay, and I'm going to use an Android directory here just to change the files. It doesn't really matter what you use, however. And you're just going to type in whatever that directory is. And let's just do this. And then if you want to show everything inside the directory, you either type in ls, and you're going to show everything like that. Or you can type in ls-a, and that's going to show everything and show a lot of things that are hidden, like this stuff right here. But either way, let's clear the scroll back. And in this situation, what I want to do is I want to use a directory called first app. So change directory first app, and I'm inside of it, and I hit ls. You can see all this stuff right here. And then if I want to tell Git, hey, I want you to start saving certain files inside of this directory, all I do is type git init. And there you can see initialized empty Git repository. There's nothing inside of it right now. If you want to start tracking specific files, you can do that in a couple different ways. Let's say that you wanted to track changes in every single Java file. You could just go git add. Well, if you wanted to do everything, you just type in star. If you want to type in just specifically Java files, even though there aren't any on here right now, you would just type git add star.java. Right click that, and it's going to automatically add all those. I'm going to use a specific file in this situation, which is going to be androidmanifest. That's what I'm going to be working with. So if I want to start tracking it and saving changes, I just type in git add androidmanifest XML. There you can see, doesn't show you any message. If I want to specifically ignore certain files, what you want to do, I'm going to do this right now, is you want to create a file called git, G-I-T, ignore, like that, if you can see that right there. And then you're going to want to, basically what I do is I just take all the different file types that I think I'm going to be working with, and I go to a website and automatically download all these different things. So common things that you would want to ignore if you're developing Android is all this stuff. And you can see it's going to ignore all APK files. It's going to ignore all dex files, all class files. It's going to ignore the bin and gen folder or directory, and all of these different things. So you can see right here an example of all that. I'm going to show you the website. Let me just jump over. You can see it right here. It's github.com/github/git-ignore. And if you go here, you're going to see all of the common things that should be ignored, normally are ignored inside of Git. But of course you can also ignore very specific file names, just like I added the manifest that you just saw. So let's jump back over in the terminal and keep playing around with this. Alright, so what you're going to want to do is save this file. So I'm going to go save as, and where am I going to save it? Well, I saved it as first app. So there we go, and I'm going to save it inside of here, and again it's git ignore, right, like that, and that's going to save you a lot of time in regards to worrying about things. If you're on a Mac, it might give you a warning, just say use dot, okay, and there we go. Now we have all of the files that we should ignore ignored. Okay, so back in the terminal, and you can also go ls, and you're going to see that the ignore file didn't show up. Let's clear scroll back, and let's go ls-a, and now you're going to see git ignore is right there. Okay. Now, if I want to commit the Android manifest XML file that I just typed in there that I wanted to stage, is what they call it, I'm going to show you a brief way to do it, and then I'm going to show you a more complicated way to do it. You just type in git commit, and then if you want to write directly to it without opening up an editor, you're going to type in -m, and then I'm going to give this a note like initial project version. Okay. Right, like that, and there you're going to see that everything went through and an editor didn't pop up. That's going to change here in a second. And I just want to point out, if you ever want to do an abbreviated, what it's called is a commit message or a commit comment, you just type in commit-m after that. More than likely you're not going to want to do that all the time because it's going to make your changes a lot harder to figure out for other developers as well as yourself. Now if you want to get the status on all of your files, you just type in git status. Right, like that, and you're going to see all of the different untracked files that you have here, and then there's going to of course be some missing because you're ignoring some of them. And now I'm going to go through the process of staging a file. Basically, I'm going to open up Eclipse right like this, and I'm going to open up a very specific file, open file, and then I'm going to find first app, which is going to be right here. And let's just come in here, and first app is right there. And you're going to see Android manifest, which is one of the files that I'm going to be tracking. So I'm just going to double click on that, and I'm going to come in here and make a completely inconsequential little change to this file. I'm going to put a comment inside of it. So I'm just going to type in this. And you can save images with Git. You can save any file that you would want. Okay, so I'm just going to type in random comment inside of it. Random comments, whatever. And I'm going to save this. So file save. Now I'm going to jump back over inside of the terminal, inside of Git. Clear the scroll back again. And then this is what's called staging. So basically I'm going to stage this file, and then it's going to be committed, and there's going to be two different versions on the Git system. So if I want to show what has changed, one thing that I can do is go in here and go git diff, and I provide a cheat sheet as well in the description. You can see right here where we have the plus sign right here and random comments, it shows me exactly right here exactly what has been changed inside of there. So that's very good and very useful. If, however, I want to actually stage this file, which means that I plan on committing it very soon thereafter, I'm just going to go git, just like I showed you before. I'm going to type in androidmanifest.xml, and this file has now been staged. And you can see that if I come in here and go git diff -- catched, like this, that it's going to show exactly what has been staged and what has not been committed on our screen. Now the logical thing to do is to just commit the changes. So you type git commit, and there you can see what actually happened is a file opened up on your system, and I'm using Vim. Vim is very easy to use. Very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type escape, or I'm going to hit my escape key. Already was escaped, and then I'm going to hit I. You're going to see down here in the lower left hand corner that insert popped up. Then inside of here, I'm going to note exactly what I changed. Now, everybody's kind of a stickler for what exactly how these are formatted. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the most common way of commenting on a commit change or a change to this file. Basically, you want to type in a heading that briefly explains the changes in 50 characters or less. So let's just say, client asked me to change a comment. Okay, that's terrible, but that's pretty much what I did. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to type in, that's sort of like a heading. Then what I'm going to do, of course, in the real world, you would type in exactly the problem that you very specifically changed or the exact change that you made. But I'm sure you understand that. Then what you're going to want to do in sort of a paragraph format is describe the original problem that was addressed. Then you're going to want to describe the specific change that is being made right here. Then you're going to describe the result of the change or the result that you know you're going to have. And then you're going to potentially describe any future improvements. And then you could type in like a bug notation or something like that as well. So let's just say the client asked for the comment to be added, and then I never go past this line right here. It causes some problems with the terminal sometimes. So I made that, and then I'm going to hit enter, change for them, and then all the things that I told you should also do. Another thing is very common is to also come in here and type in a star, and then type something like client asked for comment change, and then you could say, bulleted list of what you did. I don't see this affecting anything. Okay, and then you could do something like come in here and add a bug notation, which basically means that you've closed a bug. And bugs normally have numbers, and then you could type something like a number sign and 1291621 or something, whatever the bug number is. And then hit enter. Make sure that you do that again. Then what you need to do is hit escape, again, the escape key. And then down here at the very bottom, you're going to type in a colon and WQ. And that is going to save the changes that you just made. And then, of course, hit enter. And there you go. And you can see right here the notation. And you can see right there that your file has been changed. Another thing that you could do if you want to totally skip the staging as well as the commit message that we just typed in, that was the commit message, is just type git commit and then type A. That's going to skip the whole staging area. You're not going to have to do the adding and all that. And then of course you can type in -m and you can type in exactly what you want to change here. So let's jump over and let's actually change the file slightly. Go into the comments section and I'm just going to type 2 inside of there, and then I'm going to type in save again. There we go, I changed it. And then here I'm going to say changed comment added to whatever. And there we can see that the comment was changed and everything's there on the screen. So that's a shorthand way of both skipping the staging as well as skipping the commit message. But like I said, just something you're not really going to want to do all the time. Because the whole idea here is to be able to track all your changes and be able to very logically figure out any errors that might have been added along the way. And now what I'm going to do is actually create a file so that you can see exactly how to remove a file inside of Git. So I'm just going to go file new text document, and I'm going to say please delete me. And then I'm going to go file save as. You can see I'm right here in the same place, and I'm just going to call this delete me text. Hit save. Back over in Git again, and there you can see delete me text is right inside of there. Now I'm going to type in git add and delete me text right like this, and then if I want to remove it I can type in git rm delete me .text, and you're going to see the message pop up that it is in the staging area and cannot be deleted unless you do a force removal. So no problem, just come in here, rem, and then I'm going to type in -f, and there you can see that it was deleted. And if I type in ls, you're going to see it's deleted as well. Another thing you could do is let's go and save that again. File, save as, pop back over here. ls, you're going to see delete me is back there again. See, there's delete me. And this time, let's say that you just want to remove it from the staging area. You can just go git add, and I'm going to put it in the staging area, right like this. And then if I want to remove it from the staging area, I just go git rm --catched delete me .text, and this is going to keep the file on your system, but it's going to remove it from the staging area. And there you can see. If I type ls, delete me still there, but it's not going to be in the staging area. Git status, and there you can see that it's not in the staging area. Now what I want to do is come in here and go git add and delete me text, and then I'm going to go git commit -m initial project version. And now if I want to rename my file, I can go git mv delete me text and rename it to delete text or something like that. And git status. And you can see right there that it was renamed. Now let's take a look at logs and how they work inside of Git. Now if you want to show all the previous commit messages in reverse chronological order, you just type in git log, and there you can see all of the different changes that were made, as well as all the different notifications. Just type in Q, and you'll jump out of that. And then I'm going to clear my scroll back. If you want to show all of these on one line, this is very common. You just go git log -- pretty equals one line, and there you can see everything's pretty easy to see. The only problem is this is kind of a mess. We want to shorten that maybe. So let's go git log pretty again, but this time we're going to format exactly how this information shows on the screen. So let's just come in here. If I want to just show like an abbreviation of this hash code right here, I just type in % and H, and then let's say I want to put a colon between there. I can do another %, and if I want to show the person that made this change, I can just type in %an and another colon. You don't need these colons. You can put anything inside of there. I just chose to use colons. AR is going to be the date that was changed, and then if I want to show the first line of the comment, I just put %s. Right like that. Hit enter. You can see got exactly right there on the screen exactly what I wanted. So pretty neat. And there's a couple other codes that I'll get into later in this tutorial, but for now, I think that's enough. Another thing is if you want to, say, show just the last two commits, you can come in here and let's say I type in P, and if I just want to see the last two, there you can see all those are on the screen right there for me. Hit Q to jump out of that again. If I want to print just some what are called abbreviated stats, I can just come in here and go stat, and there you can see that on the screen. Just a whole bunch of different things you can do. If you want to see all the changes in the last week, well, in this situation, it's going to be everything, but git log, you're going to type in -- since equals, and then you can type in 1.weeks, and I'll show you a couple other things. There's everything. Q to jump out of that again. You can also get all the changes since a specific date, so let's go git log. Again, this is going to be everything since I just did all this right here in front of you. Since is equal to, and that's how I want to do 2014-04- 12. That's going to give me everything. And there you can see there's everything again. You can also format all this information. I can also just show the changes that have been made by a specific author. There you go. And I'm just going to say Derek Banis. Whoops, make sure I spell that right. Banis. And there's all the changes I have made. Q, jump out again. If I want to see all the changes that were made before a certain date, git log before is equal to, and then 2014-04 -13, and there you can see there again. And then in this situation, let's say that I want to make another file change. So let's go to that. You can see that it's listed as delete text right there. Delete me. I'm just going to type in again and file save that. Let's say that I come in here and I go git add delete text, and then I go commit. Whoops, make sure you type in git every time. Git commit, and then type in m and just, I don't know, random change. You would never want to type this in the real world, but I'm going to type it in here, and there you go. Let's say that you wanted to undo a commit. All you do is type in git commit -- amend, and this is going to allow you to change your previous commit that you just made right there. And you can see right here, if I typed in something ridiculous like that, well, I could come in here and change it. I'm going to change into insert mode by hitting I, and then I'm going to delete this, delete the whole thing here, and type in something much better. Typed in random message. There you go. That's much better. Escape again. Hit the colon. WQ. You can see right down here. There's WQ. Okay? And then hit enter. And then the final thing that I'm going to cover in this tutorial later on, well, maybe in the next, probably in the next tutorial, I'm going to cover remote and using remote files because I just couldn't fit all this in one tutorial. It's just an insane amount. Let's say if you came in here and you said that you wanted to stage a file by going git add again and delete text, right like that. Let's say that you went and staged a file, but then you decided you did not want to stage it. Well, you just type in reset, head, and then in this situation, you're going to type in what you want to unstage. And there you go. And then you type in git status. And there you can see that it is not ready to be committed. So there is a ton of things about Git. Hopefully I answered a lot of your questions. Again, I'm trying to cover everything as quickly as humanly possible. So, and of course there's cheat sheets and all that stuff underneath the video to help you along. It's pretty easy to use, you just have to dive in and start using it, and of course it is extremely useful. I just wanted to make a special note right here. If it is before April the 25th of 2014, I'm giving away another Samsung Galaxy Note 3 with a Samsung Galaxy Gear smartwatch. In this part of the contest, all you need to do is to submit on my website a link to a funny video that shows why you should win. Emphasis on funny. And whoever makes the funniest video is going to win. So please leave your questions and comments below. Otherwise, till next time.